Welcome to all the YouTube DIY auto repair enthusiasts. I'm back with another small video on my son's 2008 Honda Accord LX 4-door sedan, automatic transmission, 4-cylinder engine. I've made several videos here in the past couple of days. I just completed one on the front brakes. I'm currently working on the back brakes also, and we'll probably put out something here in the next week or so. But in the process of examining his car when I was checking fluid levels the other day, I noticed a small issue that I was not expecting. I was in the engine compartment and checking all the fluid levels and happened to see an area where there was some grease. Now it's on the passenger side, and of course it's in a very tight area. So I'm going to try the best I can to get into that tight area to show you exactly what was going on. And again, how I noticed it was just like, say, you could see some oil down the side of the engine. It wasn't really fresh, but it was enough that it attracted dirt. Basically what the problem is on that side of the engine is what they call the variable valve timing oil solenoid, I believe is the correct term. In other words, with these new variable timing type engines, this solenoid controls the amount of oil that goes up there. So as I have mentioned to both my children, when you have this in your car and they say change your oil like you should, they really mean it, because it controls that phaser up there for the variable timing, and your oil must be changed as they recommend, or you could end up at the very least some severe damage on the top part of the engine, or maybe a whole new engine. So they've always said that one of the least expensive things that you can do to maintain your car, but one of the most important, is change your oil. So you'll notice too, it's also the evening, but it worked today, so I figured maybe I could get some better shots using my LED lighting, and so I'll try and do this in the evening as it is now, so maybe the clarity will improve. So let me shine some light on the subject, and we'll take a look at what I found. Welcome back to my small do-it-yourself website, auto repair and other essentials. I'm going to talk to you about another issue I found with my son's 2008 Honda Accord LX. It's the 4-cylinder engine, 4-door sedan, automatic transmission. I just recently recorded a video on the front brakes, so I need to edit that and get that online. At the same time, I'm working on the rear brakes, and I will try and film that and edit that and put it online. But several days ago, when my son was over, I decided to go ahead and check all the fluid levels. Whenever my kids come by, I'm always checking the fluid levels: windshield wiper fluid, power steering fluid, automatic transmission. Well, I noticed a small issue that I was not expecting. And on the passenger side, and very close to the engine, very little space, I noticed there was a small oil leak. There was a lot of debris there that, when the oil leaked, it attracted dirt and dust. So I investigated it further, and I'm going to show you what I found and how I'm going to fix this. Now you may notice too, I'm filming this in the evening. I've been at work all day, and so I was a little pressed for time because I've got a lot of things to do tomorrow. So I'm going to try and get most of this recorded tonight. But let me show you what I found with this oil leak and exactly what went wrong. So when you approach the engine bay over here on the driver's side, I'll try not to make anyone too nauseous, where my light is, down deep, there is a recessed area, and actually you can see the connector down there. There's your connector. It fits into a solenoid. Now this is the solenoid. It's the variable valve timing oil solenoid, which controls the amount of oil that goes into the phaser, which helps you control the variable timing. So I've pulled that out already. I will show you what it looks like once I put it back in, but I want to show you what it was that caused the problem. Now if you look very carefully, you can see some of the oil staining there. And it was a little further down. Let's see if I can zoom in and get a little better picture there. There we go, back it up a little. You can see a lot of the oil staining there, that dark discoloration. That wasn't a big leak, but it was enough to be substantial, and I figured I should go ahead and check it out. Well, it is a bit of a tight spot, so what I had to do in order to get this out was I took that particular screw out on the air conditioning line so I could move things over. Again, this solenoid is pretty long, and it fits into this recessed area. Really hard to see, but right there where my finger is, it's very recessed because that solenoid's long. I'm going to go into the garage and show you. And only the electrical connector sticks out right in here and makes the connection. There's a bolt that goes way back in here, and it's kind of an interesting bolt. If you've been around long enough, you might remember double-headed nails. You would nail it into a board, and that way you could run string line. Well, this has got the same appearance. I'm going to tell you that it was a bit of a booger getting this out. Now, it took a 10 millimeter bolt here, and the bolt that holds this in, this solenoid in, is 10 millimeter. But let me go over to the bench and show you what that looked like. Now, there's the bolt. And if you look closely, it's like it has a double head. See? And I'll show you why. Here is the actual solenoid. And if you look, you'll see the tab right here. When you push this in, this is going to be where the connector is. I'm facing the engine. This is where the connector is. So it's going to be pushed into the engine. And you notice it's got screens. So that has to be clear. And there's an O-ring here. Now I have taken it out because that was the problem. The O-ring's probably original. Of course, it's rock hard. And if you don't believe me, there's the O-ring. And it's basically flattened out. Of course, the temperature, engine getting warm and hot, it just eventually wears out. Now, I ordered that particular O-ring. If you can believe it, it's 12 bucks. Good gosh, probably cost them 25 cents to make. But you can see it actually cracked when I took my pick to get it out of this particular area right here. So that fits in there. Again, it's very, very narrow. And there's the tab. And it was kind of an interesting design because when that bolt goes in, because it's recessed to about here, it's easier to get to the head of this bolt, which is a 10 millimeter, than have to go way down here. Now there's also another bolt that 10 millimeter, like this, but shorter, that's going to be up above it. That's one of the bolts that holds on the timing chain cover. But this is what this little bad boy looks like. You don't want this to go bad on you. So I'm going to put a new O-ring in here. I'm going to lube it up with some clean oil, stick it in there, and you'll have to fit it into that particular slot so that this will match up with the hole with the threads, and this will fit the threads. And it will be like, if I'm standing at the bumper, it will be like this, and the electrical connector goes there. So, added treat. I'm going to try this. I have purchased a inexpensive fiber optic cable. So I'm going to connect it up to my phone and see if I can get a nice close-up of everything in that recess. I've run a couple of test runs and it seems to work. I just got to figure out how to get it in this video. I always have a plan B. So, just in case I don't get the fiber optic to work, this is looking at it through a mirror. Now you see the one bolt there, that bolt was actually loose, and that's part of the timing chain cover. And you see the hole where the actual solenoid has to fit, and then at the bottom of the frame, right down in here, you'll see where that larger bolt, that double-headed bolt, will actually fit. Now remember, you know, this is looking forward to back, and that connection, electrical connection, is going to be down in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. Like I say, I'm going to put the O-ring on and lube it up very well so we don't tear it. Let's see if I can get an even closer shot there. Nope, wrong way, Tom. There we go. So I'm going to make sure that bolt is tight. Again, 10 millimeter. So I have the O-ring on. Make sure you get it in the proper groove. It's that one there. And let me show you that little tab right there. That's where the electrical connection is made. Give you a closer shot of that. Now remember, it slides this way, so you have to take a pick and place it very gently up under the other part of it, lift it up, and then pop it off. But that little tab sticks up just a wee bit. And I'm going to lube this up a little bit more. And I'm going to put it in. Then you have to make sure that this particular tab, that hole, matches where the bolt goes. Now, this is the part that'll make you cuss. Now, you know, I'm working on a gravel driveway, so I've learned, put something under there in case you drop it, because if it falls on the gravel, it's a bear trying to find this thing. Alright, so let me go back to the car. Remember what I said about dropping a bolt? Well, I did. Guaranteed. Alright, now I do not have the electrical connector hooked up yet, but I just want to show you how it sits in there. And if you look very carefully, the mirror's right there. I'm going to show you in the mirror too. Now you see the, let's see if I can get a good focus there. Maybe too close. Alright, so let me point this out. Right down here, that's the connector. This, or the solenoid. Here's the connector. The connector is going to go this way and snap on. But let me show you through the mirror how that bolt looks. And it looks kind of funny. When I first saw it, I thought there was a problem. But no, it was the inherent design. Alright, beg your pardon if I... There we go. Now let's back it up and look in the mirror. Okay, now you see the bolt and a bolt. Alright, so that bolt on the bottom there, and there's the funny looking bolt. Now notice, see how it's long? And you'd think it's 3/4 of the way out, but it's not. They just made that so that it's much easier to get to. And that's what goes through the tab on the actual solenoid. So what I thought was kind of a bad idea was a good idea. And that was the bolt that was loose, and that is part of the timing chain cover. Now, again, I lubed this up, and I just kind of jiggled it and wiggled it a little bit, and you felt it just kind of go pop as it seated itself. So now I'll do the electrical connection, and I'll be right back and show you how that looks when it's all done. Okay, now the electrical connection is on. Again, I tell you, this is a tight squeeze, so everything is now snapped on, and that little tab is right up in there. Kind of hard to see here. Maybe I can get it with the mirror. There we go. That's a little bit better. There's a little tab up there. It's very difficult to see, but it is there. If you get these close quarters, it's tough to get a good focus on things. Maybe a back up a little bit more. There we go. So there's that little tab, and you slip it in that slot that you see at the bottom of the frame. Now don't forget to put your bolt back in here to stabilize your air conditioning line. Alright, let's button this up. So here's the completed job. Now that might give you a little better perspective. There you go. See that bolt sticking out? Again, it makes you think that something's wrong, something backed out. So, on a recap, you know, I found oil, and it wasn't the timing cover, it was actually the O-ring on this variable valve timing oil solenoid. And I think I priced this out online. That solenoid's like 64 bucks online. So I'll clean this engine up with a little bit of brake clean tomorrow. Get real close there. Nope, that's not going to do it. Too much. So hopefully the nighttime filming was a little bit clearer. It's just a pain to get in there and get it out. It's such narrow quarters. But I was able to do it. And you just got to have strong fingers and work at a 90-degree angle. What is it Eric O says on South Main Auto? The classic reach around. So yeah, I had to do that a couple times. Like I say, I'll clean this up. Oh, there's very minimal oil loss when you actually pull this out. There is some. Now, I'm also going to show you the part number in my case. So, it was a OEM part, Honda 15832-R as in Robert, A as in Alpha, A as in Alpha, dash A as in Alpha, 01. So that was the part. A little brake clean and a little bit of oil, and it's a relatively simple job. I'm sure it'd be charged maybe an hour's worth of labor for doing this if you took it to a mechanic. No offense to mechanics, but that was rather simple to do. It only required a 10 millimeter socket and 10 millimeter wrench, some oil, a mirror. Really helps you have a mirror. Makes it so much easier to see. And then again, recording equipment if you're doing this. So it's getting kind of dark. I've got to go in and do some other things. I will leave you for now, and hopefully this will help save you a little money. It's not a real difficult job to do. And please remember my credo: I'll fix your car, but it won't go far.